17 years after the failure of Roanoke Island and the mysterious disappearance of its settlers, many British businessmen were still concerned with the dangers of the New World. No one had attempted another settlement in America until the Virginia Company of London began gathering investors in the early 17th century. They created a joint stock company which allowed businessmen and investors throughout England to invest their money in the Virginia Company of London. The Virginia Company would then use this money to send supplies, things like food, to the settlers in Jamestown in order for them to survive and then grow. In 1607, the Virginia Company was given a charter by King James to settle an area of land that would later be known as Virginia. A charter is basically permission from the king to settle a certain portion of land in the name of England. This first settlement would be named Jamestown in honor of the British king. The first settlers faced many challenges. First of all, many of these settlers had no experience in hunting, in farming, or any basic survival skills whatsoever. Many of them were part of a wealthy elite that hired servants to do the work for them. And initially these settlers were only focused on finding gold and silver. After their initial food supplies ran out, there came a problem. They had not hunted, they had not planted crops, they had not found a reliable food source, and they had found no gold or silver. Many of them began starving and faced other diseases like yellow fever and had no way of fighting it off. And after 9 months, of the 100 settlers, there were only 38 of them still alive. Another challenge faced by the settlers were the Powhatan, a Native American alliance that included 30 tribes and nearly 15,000 people. The Powhatan initially helped the settlers, but were concerned with how many of them there were. John Smith, one of the original settlers, attempted to make peace with the Powhatan chief. Instead, he was nearly executed. As the story goes, Pocahontas, the Powhatan princess, convinced her father to not execute Smith. This was the beginning of their friendship that would help maintain peace between the Powhatan and the settlers for many years to come. During this time, Smith became a leader of the Jamestown settlement. He created a simple rule: he who does not work does not eat. This helped to turn around the settlement, and with the help of the Powhatan, settlers began learning how to live off the land. By 1610, John Smith had left Jamestown, but a new John had arrived. John Rolfe had come to Jamestown as a farmer and a businessman. His business was tobacco, and the climate in Virginia turned out to be a perfect place to grow his crop and his business. Quickly, Rolfe's idea takes off, and Virginia becomes one of the leading tobacco producers in the world. Tobacco's popularity soared throughout the 17th century. This led to both an economic and a population boom in Jamestown. The more demand that there was for tobacco in places like Europe led to more production being done in the colonies. And as more people saw the success that settlers were having in the colonies, more people wanted to take a risk and get in on the riches as well. This led to, like I said before, an enormous population boom within the colonies, and specifically Jamestown. This small settlement in 1607 that was created from 100 settlers, by the end of the 17th century, in the year 1700, had grown to 80,000 people and was now known as the colony of Virginia and not just the small settlement that it once was. During the first part of this growth, peace is maintained between the Powhatan and the settlers because of Rolfe's marriage to Pocahontas. This relationship lasts for nearly 6 years, up until the time of Pocahontas' death. Soon after her death, the peace between these conflicting groups deteriorates. Several battles lead to the decimation of the Powhatan population and clears the way for more settlers to colonize America.